Most of us are very interested in angels, but we really don't know very much about them. But what we do know is that angels are messengers from God. And this is about the third time in our study of the book of Luke that we've seen these heavenly messengers being sent by God. Previously, an angel appeared to both Zechariah and to Mary, and this time the angels came to announce the good news. And the good news on this occasion was that Jesus had been born. Luke began his account by placing these events directly in the flow of world history with the announcement of a Roman decree. This decree was for a census for the collection of taxes that required everyone to return to their hometown in order to be registered. Joseph, being from Bethlehem, he needed to travel there in order to register for this census. Mary was very near the end of her pregnancy, and traveling must have been very difficult for her, but she still accompanied Joseph on this journey. God does not always use a miracle. Sometimes he uses everyday occurrences. In this case, God used Caesar's decree to complete his plans. Joseph and Mary had to go to Bethlehem to register, and in doing so, this fulfilled the prophecy of Malachi chapter 5 and verse 2 that states that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. The details of Jesus' birth hardly sound like those of a king. When they arrived in Bethlehem, there was no place for them, and they were forced to take shelter in a stable with the animals. When Jesus was born, there was no bed to lay him in. He was placed in a manger, a feed trough for the animals. Now today we smile at the thought of a baby in a manger, but Joseph and Mary must have seen this as a heartbreaking thing for them to have to do. If so, this didn't last long, because soon they were visited by strangers with news that they could hardly believe. It's interesting that the first ones to hear of Jesus' birth were shepherds. At that time, shepherds were considered very low on the social scale. In Jewish writings, shepherds are described as dishonest and untrustworthy, and they certainly would have been considered by the religious leaders as sinners and very unlikely witnesses to the birth of a king. But it was to this group that God chose to bring the first announcement of this good news, the good news of the birth of his son. Now, like Zechariah and Mary, the shepherds were at first frightened when the angel appeared to them, but the angel assured them that there was nothing to fear, and then told them of a child that had been born in Bethlehem. This, though, was no ordinary child. He was a Savior. He was the Christ, the promised Messiah. All of these titles, including Savior, Christ, Lord, they all point to the deity of Jesus and the purpose of his birth. But when the shepherds went to Bethlehem, they found the child just as the angel had told them, and they shared the news of their heavenly vision not only with Joseph and with Mary, but with others as well. And of all who heard of this, it was perhaps Mary who was the most moved by the shepherd story, as the text says that she stored up these things in her heart. Whenever we consider the account of Jesus' birth, so often the details of this account are ones that we allow to pass by the wayside. We think about the wise men. We think about the gifts that they brought. We think about Herod seeking to kill all these young children. But it was to shepherds, these lowly individuals. And I can't help but believe that part of this was a foresight into the fact that Jesus would eventually become a shepherd of men. He is the shepherd and we are his sheep. He is guiding us, directing us to that place of safety. That ark of safety today is the church. but ultimately He is leading us to heaven. Friends, we want to thank you for joining us for our program today, and may God bless you with a wonderful day.